G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Kate Simmons, titled, Am I the asshole for telling my mum she's making me fat? A couple years ago, I, 34 female, lost my job due to the company I worked for going into financial trouble. My husband at the time didn't work, which caused us to struggle for money, and eventually led to him abandoning me and our 3 children. Because of this, my parents, 65 male and 64 female, offered to let us move back in with them for a while. Everything was fine, but after a few weeks, I noticed that the food being given to us was both unhealthy and given in very large quantities. I didn't want to offend my mum, so instead of bringing it up with her, I offered to do some of the cooking instead. However, she insisted that it was all done by her because she enjoys it. Reluctantly, I obliged and just thought, I'll just leave most of it. The problem with this is that she started offering anything I didn't eat to the children, who always ate all of it, since they didn't realize how bad it was for them. I also didn't want to talk about this with the children because creating a fear about gaining weight always does more harm than good. This carried on for about a year before I finally brought it up with her. I've gained almost 50 pounds and am now almost obese, and 2 of my children are clinically obese now as well, with the youngest still being firmly overweight. All of them get a reasonable amount of exercise, but it makes little difference when they're eating almost 3,000 calories a day. A few weeks ago, I watched their school sports day, and it was worrying how little they could run. The 2 girls couldn't even run 100 meters and had to walk the final part. I told my mum that she had to stop giving us so much unhealthy food, but she snapped at me and said that I should be grateful that she's even letting us stay there. I hate conflict, so I ended up backing down, but I feel really bad about the effect it's having on my kids. Recently, the oldest one has been trying to avoid sport at all costs since she doesn't enjoy it with the extra weight. Am I the asshole for bringing it up with my mum? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I blamed my mum for my weight gain and argued with her. This might make me the asshole because I should be grateful for her for letting me live with her. Honestly, the crux of the issue here is that OP, you're not doing right by your kids in this instance. Yes, she is offering your kids all this food and you're eating all this food, but you're not the one standing up for your kids. You're not the one setting healthy boundaries. You're not the one doing what's right. Obviously, your mum is doing wrong. That's when you, as a parent, take initiative and stop this before it ever starts. You didn't do that. You didn't advocate for your kids. You have failed as a parent in some ways. And yes, I do agree that you're caught in between a rock and a hard place because your parents, if you say no to them, are holding your housing and stability above your heads and will kick you out as a result of this. Unfortunately, because you've allowed this to go on for a year though, this is a you're the asshole leaning on everyone sucks here judgment. In the comments, maybe a walrus says, you're the asshole. How can you neglect your kid to the point they're obese and blame it on your mum? It was your responsibility to set boundaries. This is your fault, not your mum's. Absolutely. OP, you take no responsibility even for the food that you put in your own mouth, but this neglect of your children is not on. And it is neglect. You say the children eat all they are given. You say they don't like exercise. Do you exercise with them? Do you push back and tell your mum to pop leftovers in the fridge for the next meal? Do you plate up for the kids after mum cooks? You sound like you have abdicated responsibility entirely. Are you unwell? I know you've gone through a lot, but if you're too depressed or anxious or exhausted to parent properly or to look after yourself properly, you need to seek help. You're the asshole. Mobile Prune says, you're the asshole. You're a grown woman. Take some responsibility for the things you put in your and your kids' mouths. They can't even run, they're so overweight. As a mandated reporter, I'm fuming. I wish obesity was seen as abuse. Hometown Gypsy says, when I was a CASA, I saw a court case where a child had been removed from her family because they refused to alter her diet. She was placed in a medical facility on a restricted diet to lose weight, so it does happen. Everyone sucks here. Your mum because she's causing the issue, you because you won't stand up for your kids' health. Crystal Zelda says, yeah, the you're the asshole comments are honestly so misguided. OP's mother is sabotaging their health. She's refusing to control portion sizes and threatens to kick OP out when she says something. You ever had to lose weight, especially as a kid, in a house where some people kept a shit ton of snacks, unhealthy foods, etc.? It's impossible. Those kids will sneak food every chance they get, especially since Grandma has made it clear that if the kids ask, she will provide. It's not just about portion sizes, but the quality of the food. Giving someone a really small portion of extremely carby or processed foods without good sources of fiber and protein to help them feel full will mean the kids will still be hungry, ask for more, repeat, and recycle. All of their food situation needs to change, not just the quantity but quality, no snacks, etc. It's on OP to manage this, but people are naive if they think that OP will be successful in a house with someone who has made it clear that she will go out of her way to undermine those efforts. Update. I brought it up again more harshly with my mom, but she refused to budge, so I took the kids to a pediatrician. It went how you might expect. They need to lose weight and have to cut down on how much they're eating. I explained the situation, and he wrote a note for my mom explaining the importance of the kids losing weight. After reading some of the comments, I suggested that I be in control of serving the food so that she could still cook, but I had control of the portions. My mother wasn't so keen on this, so we met in the middle and allowed the children to get their own servings. Although they still took more than what was probably healthy, it was less than before, so progress was made. My mom still did my portion, and it was still very large, but I didn't mention it and just ate it because I didn't want to annoy her just when I was making progress. After dinner, I managed to convince my 2 youngest children to come on a walk with me and my dad. The walk wasn't long, probably only about a mile, but it was a step in the right direction. However, when I got home, my mum told me that she had given my oldest daughter who stayed behind seconds because she looked hungry. I told her not to do that again, but she was pretty non-committal, so I'm not sure I trust her. Update 2. I've spoken to my kids about how they don't have to eat anything put in front of them. I've also asked my mum if I can make a side dish on top of the meals that she cooks. Today, I just made a light salad and put it out before any other food was out so the kids wouldn't prioritize the less healthy food. All of them ate the salad before my mum arrived and were allowed to serve themselves again. They still all took more than I would have liked, but for the first time, my youngest complained about being full before finishing his plate. Before my mother could say anything, I took his plate and put all the remaining food onto my own. I knew dumping it in the bin would cause a row, so I just ate it myself so I wouldn't undo any progress with my mum. My oldest 2 ate their portions in the salad, but at least they got something healthy into their bodies. It turns out they get quite sluggish after eating dinner, so I didn't push them to exercise today, and am going to go for walks with them before dinner instead next time. I'm also in contact with a friend of mine to see if I can stay in their house for a few months before I get a place of my own. Hopefully before the end of the year. And yeah, that's all the updates that we have for that story, but, I'm very much glad that OP is doing something for these kids, and is advocating for her and their health. I can very much see this turning into a My 600 Pound Life episode. I'm sure Dr. Now would have a thing or two to say to the grandmother, much less OP in this situation. Honestly, I feel like this is kind of the best that OP can do without being homeless, and I very much applaud them for doing that. For me, the blame entirely shifts now to this feeder, enabler grandmother who doesn't care. She's more than happy to push her own family into obesity. Quite frankly, that is disgusting, and I hope that something is done about her, but most likely not. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say about this one. What did you think of it down in the comments below? I'd love to know. Our next post is by user deleted, titled, "My sister's behavior towards my boyfriend is horrendous." This is going to be long. I'm warning you. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm shaking. I need to write it down and hear some advice. My sis is just so creepy towards my boyfriend. I can't take it anymore. She was really spoiled by my parents when she was young because she was their first child. She always wants everything, and when we were little, she always used to steal my toys, books, clothes, etc. I was never allowed to touch any of her things, but she constantly stole my stuff and was always rude to me. My mum, for some reason, has always preferred her over me, and thus, most of the time, I was told to just let it go. Due to this, I have lots of resentment towards her, and I don't really like her. I'm honestly sick of her behavior, and I just want some peace and quiet in my house. My mum called me 2 weeks ago, pleading to let my sister stay with me because she doesn't have a job right now and she can't stay alone during quarantine. Both my parents are high risk. My mum has heart problems and my dad is asthmatic. So I thought that I should let her stay with me and my boyfriend instead of letting her go to my parents in case she infects them. There's been a few cases where she is, so I don't want to risk it. Now I'm honestly starting to regret it. Her behavior is creepy and strange and downright disgusting. First of all, she doesn't respect me at all. She's constantly ignoring me while having long talks with my boyfriend. She doesn't leave my boyfriend alone. She flirts with him and constantly tries to touch him by using cheap tricks. When we watch movies, she pushes me away and tries to snuggle with my boyfriend. She slaps his butt when he walks by and loudly tells him how he has a perky little butt. She also runs her fingers through his hair every day, saying, "Whoa, your hair is so soft," or some crap like that. What the fa? These are all just excuses to touch him. She just needs a chance. Another thing she does is ask him if he has abs so she can touch his torso. Or say, "Did you see this thing that I lost? Maybe it's in your pocket, let me see," and proceed to pat his thighs. One time she wanted help with hooking her bra, and she just frickin' walks out in her underwear. She came to our room, and my boyfriend was in the bathroom. The logical thing to do is just effing ask me. I'm her sister. But what does she do? She just waits for my boyfriend and asks him instead, even though I'm sitting right there. I think I looked very upset because my boyfriend just told her no, and she went back to her room. She didn't try that again. This is not even all. My boyfriend and I can't even talk to each other without her interrupting us. She barges into our room with no warning. A few days ago, we were trying to have sex, and I don't know how the F she realized it and started banging on the door claiming to have a headache. I opened the door and asked her what was wrong. I told her I had pills for it, but she just said that she doesn't trust me and she wanted to talk to my boyfriend instead. After disturbing us, she was completely fine and her headache disappeared miraculously. She just came into our bedroom and started talking to my boyfriend. We were literally half naked, and there was no way she didn't know. This is driving me crazy. What does she want? Why is she like this? It's not like I didn't talk to her. I was so angry she interrupted us because she's been doing this since she came here. I was feeling horny and angry. I just told her to get out and that we needed some alone time. I don't want to go into details, but we had a small argument and she started crying. The thing is, she never accepts it. She's completely blind to what she's doing. She denies doing it and sheds tears, which ends up making me feel bad instead. My boyfriend is so uncomfortable by all of this. He just looks exhausted all the time. He's trying his best to be nice, but she's all over him all the time. He's usually very introverted, shy, and quiet. He's not very confrontational, and I know this is bothering him. When I talked to him about it, he just commented that it was a bad idea to invite her to stay here. He also said not to invite her ever again. I want to know why she's like this. How can I make her see what she's doing? I'm done dealing with her. I don't want to see her ever again, but she's my parents' favorite child, and no matter how hard I try, I can never escape her. Whenever I try to cut contact with her, my mum calls me and begs me to forgive her. My mum doesn't want to see her daughters fighting with each other, and she always says how she wants us to be together forever. But I can't do this. How am I supposed to deal with this? Can someone please tell me? My mum is always taking my sister's side in everything, and it's always me who has to be understanding and smart and older when I'm the younger one here. Please tell me I'm not overreacting. How do I make my mum and sister realize that I'm sick of dealing with this? I feel like a lot of the comments are going to say this, but just kick her out and ban her from your house. This is just another one of those situations that I think you have to recognize you can't talk your way out of. There is no space for talking. She's stomped all over your boundaries so many times that she's just going to continue doing it. You've let her get away with it, so why stop? So my suggestion is just kick her out and be done with her. In the comments, Kira Derrick says, kick her out. She is sexually harassing your boyfriend. You can't control what your parents do. They will probably take her in from what you've said here. That's on them. If you push your relationship by keeping her in your house, despite her making your boyfriend rightfully uncomfortable with behavior that you clearly recognize as wrong, then that's on you. If you're feeling super generous, I guess you could have a very frank conversation with her, preferably with your boyfriend in the room, that what she's doing is not only disrespectful of your relationship with your boyfriend, but sexual harassment. Point out she is dumb enough that she's doing it in your house, and you will be forced to kick her out if she continues. But you're well within your rights to just boot her ass now. Also, keep in mind that her crying means nothing. She has learned that crying will get her what she wants. That's all. So, your mother will stand for your sister while she is way out of boundaries with your couple. How do you feel about kicking her out and stopping this toxic relationship? Yeah, it will hurt, but you have no solution. Is there a way to send her home with your parents with zero interaction with the outside world to be sure that it'll be done safely? OP says, I just want her to be gone from my home. I'm completely done with this, but I know she'll just start crying and begging until she gets what she wants. Then I'll have to be understanding as always. She is 28 and has no place to go and is acting bad with you? Absolutely kick her out. I wouldn't give her any more chances. Take care of yourself and your boyfriend. Good on you for being independent of your unsupportive parents. Update. Hi. First of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your help. I'm really grateful for all the support I've received here, and all those little messages some of you sent me really made me understand the situation I was in. The many comments I read here gave me the strength that I needed to talk to my sister. Thank you guys. I should probably tell you that this might not be the perfect badass ending that you are all expecting, and I apologize for that. I've always had a hard time standing up against my sister. Like I said in my original post, my boyfriend doesn't like confrontations either, and he's also a huge people pleaser, which makes this situation harder for the both of us. Nevertheless, I finally decided to talk to my sister yesterday. She was actually sitting in my living room in her underwear and bra, and I completely lost my shit. I told her multiple times to wear some clothes, but she said that it was too hot, which it was not. She then made a small comment about me being insecure about my boyfriend liking her or something like that, and that made me angry. I sat her down and we talked. I told her she was making me uncomfortable. She was making my boyfriend uncomfortable, and we wanted her to leave. She looked very shocked by it because I don't think that I've ever talked to her like that. She immediately apologized though. She said she didn't know, or some bullshit, which I wasn't going to fall for this time. I gave her an ultimatum. She needed to pack her shit and get out in 3 hours. She looked very emotional, and she apologized a lot, said sorry a lot, and told me that she loved me. She said she would never intentionally try to hurt me. If I misunderstood her actions, it wasn't her fault. She kept saying she didn't know. She said she was just trying to be friendly to my boyfriend, which is not true at all. I asked her if sexually harassing someone was friendly to her, and she started crying. By this time, my boyfriend, who was in our bedroom, avoiding my sister and her skimpy clothing, came to support me. She kind of directed her questions towards him. She asked him if she was making him uncomfortable. He said yes, and she cried and apologized. She then tried to gain his sympathy by saying that I was kicking her out when she had no place to go. She also lied that I was always mean to her. She completely ignored me and asked him if she could stay. She had nowhere else to go. Of course, he said no. What the F did she think? I will forever remember the look on her face. So yeah, she actually refused to leave, cried a lot, and said that she was jobless and she didn't have money, no place to stay, no friends, etc. I told her she had no friends because she was a beer. The first time I said something like this to my sister. She then tried to guilt trip me to let her stay by repeating the words, I'm your sister, family, I love you, etc. My boyfriend and I helped her pack all her stuff and put it next to her car. I told her that she can stay in her car, I didn't care, I wanted her to go. It wasn't really epic like some of you wanted. I was actually crying a little while I was shouting at her because I was shaking so much. At one point, my boyfriend had to tell me to calm down. It was just so overwhelming. I'm just glad she's gone. She did leave eventually. She was calling someone, and I'm pretty sure she went back to her own flat. Thank God she's not going to my parents because I don't think she knows how to quarantine. I know she won't quarantine, and this was the main reason that I was hesitant to kick her out. 2 to 3 hours after she left, my mum called me and yelled at me for kicking her out. I shouldn't have been shocked when she accused my boyfriend of bothering my sister. My mum also asked me what kind of man I was dating, I should leave him, etc. I should have expected that, really. I tried to reason with her, but my mum was just angry at me. She asked me things like, how can you do this to your own sister, and similar bullshit that she should be asking my sister. At this point, I was so effing angry I was in tears and shaking. I just told her to F off in anger, and I hung up. It was just a weird day. I'm proud of myself for finally standing up to my sister, but I also don't really feel like getting up from my bed. My boyfriend is back to his cheerful self, and I'm happy about that, but I just feel like such an idiot. I should have realized my mum would never take my side a long time ago. I just don't understand what I did to make my mum so angry at me. Why doesn't she love me? I have done everything she asked me to do, but she never takes my side in things. I just want her to effing love me and support me for once. It just never happens, and I feel like I'm an effing idiot for even trying. I think she regrets that I was even born. Anyway, F that. I'm done trying to reason with them. My mum will never believe me. I'm pretty sure my sister lied to her, so mum keeps calling and trying to speak to my boyfriend. I'm currently thinking of cutting off all of my family. All they do is make me feel like shit. I deserve better than that. My boyfriend deserves better than that. I apologize for venting. What's done is done. I don't regret it. I'm glad I have my boyfriend and he loves me, unlike my family, and we finally have some alone time. He's been so moody, but right now he's actually cooking and stuff, and he hasn't done that ever since my sister came here, so yeah, I'm glad she's gone. My boyfriend is glad she's gone. I finally have some peace and quiet in my home. Thank you so much to everyone. I don't think I can thank you all enough. Some of you talked to me, sent me messages, and it really opened my eyes. I'll take care of myself and my boyfriend now. Thank you. In the comments, IXMXUnicorn says, you said not to expect a badass ending, but you were a stone-cold badass. I'm so proud of you for self-advocating and protecting the man that you love from a sexual predator. I know that must have been incredibly painful, but the worst part is over. The infection's gone. It'll still hurt, but keep yourself clean and away from her, and you'll make it. Well done. OP replies, thank you for saying that. I'll remember this whenever I need some extra courage in the future. Dude, you kicked her out on her ass and told your whole family to F off. If that's not badass, I don't know what is. I guess you could have thrown her shit out the window and blown up her car or something. What? This was absolutely badass. Yeah, maybe you didn't wear a cape, but not all heroes. Something something. Here is what you did do. Put the person you loved most first and stood up for him. He will be eternally and rightfully grateful. Learned where you stood with your family, which sounds like it was under the sole of their shoe. Set boundaries and set yourself up for long-term happiness. Not all families love equally, OP. I had to cut my parents off. For me, it wasn't super difficult, so in that sense I can't sympathize. I don't have any happy memories of them. However, what I can say is that while blood ties may be stronger than traditional relationships, they are not immune to constant neglect or abuse. I'm proud of you. I remember your last post. I was worried and upset for you, and I'm happy that you were able to handle it. When the shaking and anger and rawness passes, you will feel better about everything, I promise. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.